And you know one of the great things that we love as radio hosts is when news breaks during a radio show, specifically in the Valley. And we've got some breaking news according to Adam Schefter. Arizona Cardinals former first-round pick Zaven Collins is signing a 2-year, $14 million extension that includes $11.25 million guaranteed as he signs. With this 2-year extension, the linebacker is now set and throughout the 2026 season. Ben, I tossed it to you, your first takeaway when you saw this news.
Well, here I am giving you my scouting report on the Cardinals, whether it was the pass rush, all this stuff. And now I'm questioning everything I just said because Zaven Collins has not looked dominant. He hasn't looked great, which, if you're just being fair, it's not dominant money. They just gave him a $14 million over 2 more years. But here's the thing. Here's what kind of concerns me about this. We had Johnny Venerable on the show yesterday, and Johnny had mentioned something that really perked up my ears. Generally, when Jody is doing these interviews, I'm doing other things for the show on the side, but I'm listening, and there's certain things that will perk my ears up. And Johnny had mentioned that Jonathan Gannon and Zaven Collins are super close. Like, they hang out outside of work close. And I'm like, is this an extension to your buddy? Because I've watched Zaven Collins. I've watched him over the past couple of years. So have you. I've watched him at training camp. There's nothing there that I've said, oh, he looks different. Oh, he looks dominant. Oh, he looks like even a third pass rusher. I don't see it with Zaven Collins. I've never seen it. So I almost wonder if this is a relationship contract signing because of how close Jonathan Gannon and Zaven Collins are. And because here's the thing. Say that Zaven Collins, I'm completely wrong. I don't know anything about football. He has a 15-sack year. He's just going to hold out next year. You think he's going to play for $7 million next year after having 15 sacks? No. They declined his option, which means they weren't afraid to lose him, which makes me believe that they sided with me. They don't really see it with Zaven Collins. This should be his last year. But instead, they work out a contract extension. It is all sorts of confusing. There's no way that this got done directly after the B.J. Ojulari injury. This was obviously something that has been in the works for a little bit now. So it really makes me wonder, is this just a relationship signing? Like, do they just really like the guy? Because I'm sure he's a great guy, and I've never seen anyone talk bad about Zaven Collins. But I just don't get it. Me saying that to you, that they're incredibly close, what does that make you think?
It's interesting. It's really interesting. I think it's kind of, I don't want to say weird, but we've seen teams where coaches and players hang outside of camp. Like, for example, Kyle Shanahan being at Christian McCaffrey's camp, him kind of being younger, them being older veterans, them hanging outside of camp and being friends and stuff like that, which is fine. But you wonder, with the pressures of JG and Zaven's relationship, that bearing on Monty and Monty signing the contract because it's a relationship contract. That's what puzzles me, because Monty doesn't seem like a guy that's all about buddy-buddy relationships.
Not at all.
He seems like a guy that just wants to win and do his best for the organization, the Arizona Cardinals. This move is puzzling to me. I think this is a move where Zaven Collins wasn't holding out during camp. There wasn't pressure to get this deal done. He was going to play the season regardless. I would, as a person, a football fan and an analyst, I'd rather want to see this during the season where he's proven it, where he's proven in year 2 in the system and in the new outside linebacker role that he's comfortable, a position that he played in college and he's excelling at, then go in and sign that contract extension during the season. Could it be more, to your point about him getting 15 sacks and wanting more money, if he ends up having 7, 8, 10 sacks at the halfway mark or maybe even the 3/4 of the season mark? Sure, that could be a thing, but at least he's proven. It's interesting now because you signed Zaven Collins right after this B.J. Ojulari timing, and I agree with you. I don't think the timing of him getting injured and him getting signed immediately after, I just don't think that was the case. But now it puts more pressure on Zaven Collins. You're our guy now. You're the number one guy for the edge rusher. You're the number one guy that's making the most money now out of all the guys in the pass rushing field. You've got to go out and perform now. We can't wait a third year for you. Oh, it's only his second year in the position. Oh, it's his third year. Because there's been pass rushers in this league that have performed extremely better in their second year And if you can't do that, if you can't get above 3.5 sacks like you did last year playing 17 games, 27 solo tackles, 41 total tackles, it's going to be a concern when a room is already depleted and you're spending money to Zaven Collins. I just don't. That's a move where I'm like, Monty, I don't know about this one. There's been a bunch of moves where I've been a fan of, or moves that maybe I wasn't a fan of and I saw happen that, they outperformed what I expected. But a Zaven Collins, where it's a contract year, you're going to sign into an extension before what we've seen, and with you saying that he's not been doing well in camp, it's definitely a puzzling move.
I wouldn't say he's doing awful in camp, but, he hasn't done anything for me to be like, he hasn't stuck out like a sore thumb and me be like, oh, that guy's terrible. For me, because, I watched Clayton Tune and Desmond Ridder. They're terrible. Zaven Collins, I'm like, oh, he's just a guy. He's a good depth piece to have as your fourth-string pass rusher. But you could get a fourth-string pass rusher for less than they gave him. He got $11 million guaranteed at signing. Now, he might not reach that whole $14 million potential, but this Zaven Collins thing is really puzzling to me. This guy has 5.5 sacks his entire Cardinal career. That is 3 years. And he's only missed one game. 17 games played. I don't get it. It's really puzzling for me to look at this and say, this is the guy who is going to carry us next year. That feels really, really like hanging on, grasping at straws, praying that this guy could figure it out. I don't get it. There has to be another move up Monty Austin Fort's sleeve. Because if you walk into the season with Zaven Collins as your number one pass rusher, you are in a boatload of trouble.
And I think the positives for Zaven Collins, he's an extremely team-friendly guy. Obviously, the coaches and Gannon and Nick Rowlis, the relationship with him, beloved in the locker room, and a leader, a guy that's been around the program. This is about to be his fourth year for the Arizona Cardinals, one of those founding stones, can be a leader on that defense. So that's a good thing, the off-the-field stuff, and, can be a vocal leader on that defense. And I wouldn't be surprised if he's a captain. But you're right. There's a lot of pressure on him, and especially after this extension signing. Curious to see what he does today in the red-white scrimmage, and curious to see – I want to see Zaven Collins get a lot of reps in preseason. I really do.
We talked about that preseason notion, and, let's just kind of go after it. Marvin Harrison Jr., Kyler Murray, Zaven Collins, let me just ask you, do you think these guys need to play in the preseason?
A little bit, yes. I do.
What does a little bit look like?
I think a quarter. I think
quarter?
I think
that's a lot.
Yeah.
That's 3 series.
Yeah, it's a lot. I think the chemistry you've got a lot of new pieces with Zay Jones, a lot of new pieces on the offensive line, which not a lot of people are talking about. You got a guy in Paris Johnson Jr. moving on the left side. You've got new offensive, a guard situation going on with Isaiah Adams, Evan Brown, and John Gaines. You've got a new right tackle with Jonah Williams. I just want to see the flow of this first-string offense, the little things, the getting the series, getting out, the play calling and stuff like that. I do. I think a quarter, I don't think you have to go overboard. I don't want to see Kyler Murray running for his life in preseason. That's not what I'm talking about. But I think you need to see the deep throws. You need to see some intermediate routes with this wide receiver core and kind of seeing, what we're expecting because, folks, they're playing Buffalo week 1. They're playing the Rams week 2. It's not like they're walking into an easy schedule. I just want to see a little bit, a quarter. Now, does that mean a quarter off rip? I don't know. I think a quarter of play in terms of the 3 games of preseason is what I want to see.
Here's what I'll say. If Marvin Harrison Jr. is playing in the preseason, Kyler Murray better be playing as well.
Yep.
There's no reason for Marvin Harrison Jr. to get chemistry with Clayton Tune and Desmond Ridder, who I don't even think are going to make this roster. I mean, Clayton Tune, I don't know how many times I have to say it. Both those guys are they're missing easy throws. And we saw Clayton Tune last year against the Browns. Granted, the number 1 ranked defense, I think he had 50 passing yards. He was abysmal. It was Max Hall, John Skelton bad at times. So if Marvin Harrison is playing, Kyler's got to play. Don't go 1 foot in, 1 foot out. Put everyone in or take everyone out. Yeah. And I don't even care if Marvin Harrison Jr. has a reception. Just get live reps. And also, maybe do your own research. I don't want Kyler and Marvin Harrison Jr. going up against the third stringers of the Dallas Cowboys. It's not helping anyone. Match whatever the other team is doing. I don't want to see anyone playing in the final preseason game. But the first one, and I guess the second one as well, they do need to get some snaps under them. Just someone's got to get hit. Everyone besides Kyler. I had seen someone mention Kyler Murray needs to take a hit. No, I'm good. I'm good on that. I'll wait for the regular season. Because here's the issue. if one of those guys gets hurt in the preseason, it goes right after Jonathan Gannon. What are you doing? It's 2020 vision after we had already seen everything. What are you doing? Why are you playing him? If he gets hurt in the regular season, what are you going to do? It's a regular season. Everyone's got to play. So it just needs to be everyone in or everyone out, not this flip-floppy thing.
Saturday, a week from today, preseason game number 1. The Saints come into town. I'm looking forward to that. Last nugget I'll say, I know we got to go to break. I got to watch out for undrafted free agent, wide receiver, Xavier Weaver. That's all I got to say. Say what you want to do with that information.
Love that guy.
I mean, this dude, I think this dude can make the roster with the wide receiver core that looks great at the top. You look at the depth. Not a lot of room. The Chris Moores of the world, the Andre Bocellis. I think Xavier Weaver could definitely slip in there.
Just really quickly, I know we got to go to break. I'll make it very brief. I was talking with a few guys on the sidelines. Weaver was the guy that when the Cardinals signed him, I was like, how did this guy fall through the cracks? I think he's a practice squad guy. I don't know how he has looked fine, but man, he's 170, and I got to be honest with you, he does look small. Xavier Weaver. Some guys just have it to play football, and I think he just has it. It's hard, though. Greg Dortch, Michael Wilson, Marvin Harris. It is such a loaded room where, we were talking about it on the sidelines yesterday with a couple of different people, and we all agreed, man, the guy's got some twitch to him, but I don't know how he's going to do it.
I don't think practice squad's a bad thing. I think practice squad, when people say, why, them moving a practice squad is a bad move for him, it just means they want to stick in the program. Whenever they want, they'll call him up to the 53-man roster, but they see something in Xavier Weaver long-term that they want to hold on to and develop with the program, develop in the system, learn the playbook. I think Xavier Weaver is definitely a name to look out for and a guy I'm looking forward to watching in preseason.